Control our own narratives and have the conversations that we need to have in order to empower our community. So today, of course, we're going to be talking about the show Dear White People. Finally.
Right.
How many people asked us to review that?
It's especially since the topic of can you be pro-black while dating interracial?
Yes.
Like, wait, have you seen Dear White People? Yes, we have.
The show is on Netflix. It's about,
10 episodes.
10 episodes.
We got half an hour episode, so you can definitely breeze right through it.
Yeah. But when I was looking at the show, I was just thinking to myself, first of all, this is about to be some bullshit. But towards the end, I was like, this literally proves our point.
Right, it really does.
That the interracial dating doesn't work. You know what I mean?
When you're living that pro-black lifestyle, and you gotta think about it. Gabe, what's his name?
I don't remember the character.
It was Gabe and Sam.
Okay, yes.
The main character. Gabe was the white guy that she was dating on the low at first until it got exposed.
Right.
But Gabe, he was trying to be down. Like, he was really trying to be a part of the cause or whatever. But it's like, no matter how much you try, if you're not living it, you really cannot make that full connection.
Yeah.
So prime example, when he called the police on that party.
Girl, we're gonna get to that.
Oh my God.
Okay, so basically what I feel like is it showed an example of activism on the show, but they kind of played it safe.
Yeah, they did.
They really played, it was like the type of activism that they was like, okay, we want you to think, but we also don't want you to be too uncomfortable. I'm saying for the white audience.
Oh yeah, they
a white person,
radical with it at all.
Like a white person can watch it and feel comfortable.
Right.
And talking about Black history and stuff may be uncomfortable for some people, but that's okay because that's facts.
Right, it is.
You know what I mean? So I think that the show really kind of, tiptoed around a lot of things.
It did. It definitely took the soft and, approach to it instead of just going straight hardcore or very radical with it. It was kind of tame, but you could kind of see why they would, because you can't, you do too much of that and you don't get across the message that you're trying to get across to all audiences, unfortunately, because some people are sensitive, but
very sensitive. And one other thing, this is a side note about the sensitivity of the media or the public or whatever. A lot of shows where you see police officers, and a lot of shows and movies are playing on that police officer killing an unarmed young person.
Oh, absolutely.
But it's never portrayed what it really is: a white officer murdering a black, individual. But in these shows, it's always like a black person. A black cop murdering an unarmed innocent white person.
Yeah, they don't really take it to the reality of the situation.
Yeah, I noticed that. I'm like, why? Okay, I keep seeing shots fired, and this other show, Greenleaf, that I watched, which is not good. But
it's like if you're gonna portray it like it's really happening.
At least once.
Exactly. I think the only show that you ever really saw that portrayed it that way was Scandal.
I didn't see. Did they do that?
They did it on Scandal.
I didn't see that.
And it was really like a Mike Brown-esque situation.
Oh, see, I didn't see
where
that.
That boy's father, the boy had got shot. He was dead in the street, and they had left him in the street. And his father had came out there with his gun and his lawn chair, and had the lawn chair basically over his son's body. Was out there nobody, he was not playing. And Olivia kind of talked him, off the ledge or whatever. But that's the only time I've ever seen it portrayed where it's that's how it actually happened.
Yeah. I haven't seen that. So that's on me. But let's break down some of these characters. So it was very cliche, they got the problematic, what is she considered, I guess, biracial activist. So it's a lot of dynamics.
She didn't start out that way, though, interestingly enough. It's when they go back to when she first got on campus, she was real mild. You could tell that she didn't act as strongly as she did towards, as she got into her later years of college. As a freshman, she was real timid, and she was. I mean, I hate to be the one to say it, she was acting very white. Like she was. It seemed like she was embracing her white side more than her black side.
Right.
And then it's like as she started to get involved with like the Black Student Union, then it's like, oh, okay, you start to see that.
But I don't have any fault with that because I understand how like you have to get put in certain positions and experience real racism to realize that it exists. Some people don't live that life
and are completely oblivious to it. Weirdly enough, because you would think that even with the way with all the media and all the outlets for finding out what's going on, that people wouldn't be as oblivious as they are, but some people just like, well, if it hasn't happened to me, I just turn a blind eye to it.
Absolutely.
Crazy.
Absolutely. So they got her, she's kind of like conflicting with her being biracial. Of course, it's that whole dynamic of I'm not white enough for the white people, not black enough for the black people, but then so she has to go, felt like she has to go to the extreme to be accepted around the blacks. And then the other character, her friend, her first roommate, Coco,
Calandria.
So she represents, I guess, the dark-skinned black girl trying to survive in a white environment.
Right, because she definitely said that she wanted to tone it down just because of her skin tone, that people automatically make these assumptions about her, which to a certain degree I can understand because you hear that a lot. So it's unfortunate that she really felt like she had to put on airs the way that she did in order to be accepted, because people automatically assume based on her skin tone that she's going to be ratchet or ghetto or uneducated. And that it kind of saddened me a little bit,
or even less attractive, because she even had those insecurities with the dude, with the
when the wig came off.
Girl, that was the moment in that movie.
When the wig came off.
But they made his character hold it down. Like I don't care about that. I respected that.
He put his do-rag on. I thought that was cool. It was like, okay, letting her know that hey, be natural. You can be natural around me. You don't have to do all this. And I respected that.
But one thing I did not like was the character, the really smart one, the one who's a journalist, who's doing the articles and stuff.
Lionel.
Yes, Lionel. They made the guy who, I hate that dynamic of black girls don't like nerds or geeks, because a lot of them do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not, everybody doesn't have to be a thug image or whatever, or a rapper or a CEO to be attractive to black women. So I don't like that they put that out, like, oh, he couldn't get any black women, so then he's now gay.
Right, yeah, that threw me off.
And then the character, what's the president's name? The son of the... Troy. Yes. So, of course, they made Troy the white supremacist puppet. You know, they made him the Barack Obama of the school. So he had to save face in front of the white people to make it seem like everything was okay.
Right.
You know, we aren't radical over here, you know, whatever. Basically how a lot of people that are black, that are in these high positions, that's how they carry themselves.
Absolutely.
Like, that's what they represented with his character.
It's kind of just straddling the fence a lot. And a lot of that being politically correct situation where it's like, oh, you don't want to be, too offensive to the white people, despite the fact that it's your race that's really like, is on the receiving end of a lot of this.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, because honestly, let's get started. Like, let's start with this blackface party.
Yeah.
Which was super disturbing to me that would even be, in existence there, and that they would think that it's okay. Like, that was crazy to me. Like, what? So for Lionel to kind of orchestrate crashing the blackface party, like, no, and Sam saying like, no, you don't get to dress up like us, and like basically make a mockery,
make fun of it,
of us and everything that we've been through. Like, no, it's not cool at all. Like, it's bullshit, and I couldn't agree more.
I feel like that shit really happens. I feel like that happens in these white suburbs.
Honestly, and it's like, it was sick for that to even be. Like, seriously? Like,
dressing up like Nicki Minaj.
And they think it's okay. It's like, if you want to dress up like her, dress up like her. But the minute you start painting your face black, that's completely unacceptable.
It's like the minstrel shows that was used back in the days to demonize us and to portray us as dumb and, incompetent and dangerous. And the things that, the images that we have on us today, that's to our detriment.
Right.
I really wasn't
stems from that. It stems from that. And it's like, for you to make a mockery of that or even portray that and think that it's funny, it's ridiculous, and it's disgusting, it's humiliating, it's demeaning, it's a whole bunch of stuff. And I was just like, maybe not like.
Yeah.
Maybe not like. I was mad. quiet, like watching it. Like, wait, hold on, what you mean I ain't blackface party? Like,
more shit should happen. But what else? This dynamic between Sam and the black guy that's a part of the student union was so
Reggie.
fine.
Oh my god, Reggie was so fine.
Oh my god, I love him. Oh my god, but he annoyed me though, the way he was still going at Sam after she clearly like blew him off several times.
He was pining so bad.
Not only blew him off for someone else, and still was just like there for it.
Yes, he was. Yeah, that kind of, it was like Joelle really had to wake him up. Like, look, like, I know you want this, but you gotta get over it. Like, let it go. He wanted Sam so bad, and I mean, he did back her that one night though.
Yeah, I mean, but that to me, that symbolized to me in the show that the alpha male black man and the black woman, they just can't resist each other no matter what.
Exactly.
The attraction is just there regardless. Like the alpha male, the alpha black male.
To see him in that vulnerable state after they pulled that gun on him.
Oh my god, my fucking
was
heart.
So devastating because it was like, are you serious? And just to see him as strong as he is, and for them to have that little bit of a spat like that over something, over his white friend saying nigga.
Yes.
Telling him, don't say that. And it's like, I don't care if you're,
he was very calm.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly. He's like, I don't care that you're, you know what I'm saying, just, you know, repeating the song lyrics. You don't say that.
Just don't say it. And I agree with him. Don't say it around us. We can't help what you say in your own.
You know, ignorance is bliss. You say it when you're not around us, then we don't know. Really, you shouldn't be saying it then either, because then you won't have that comfort to feel like you can say it around us, to be quite honest. And it's like, if you're not black, you don't get to tell us what is offensive to us.
Yes.
Like, you don't get to tell anybody what offends them or what doesn't offend them.
Absolutely.
And the negative connotation that's behind that word when it comes from somebody who's white. Like, it's just like, well, you guys say, okay, you don't get to say it. I'm sorry, because we changed the imagery within our own community or our own culture to you know what I'm saying, remove the negativity from it. That doesn't mean that it doesn't carry that connotation when you say it.
Right.
Therefore, don't say it.
And like he said in the show, he said, you know, does it bother you when I say cracker? He was like, no. He was like, okay, that's cool, but it bothers me when you say
exactly.
nigga. Like, it's okay that it happens, just don't say it. Like,
there's not hundreds of years of oppression behind someone saying cracker. That's more like a clap back.
Right.
That's reactive and not proactively something that we came up with to come at you. Like, no, that word is a lot of pain behind that word.
Yes, it's been behind lynchings, it's been behind mass incarceration, it's been behind slavery, and so many other things that oppress us still to this day. So if you're white out there, you have black friends, you go to a Future concert, just be respectful. I mean,
censor that one part. Just hit it with
you have white privilege that you just can do everything else with impunity, but saying the N-word, you just gotta say it.
And what's wild is that saying that, okay, you said it, and then your black friend says, hey, don't say that, it's offensive to me. As a human being, as a friend, to argue the point that you should be allowed to say it is absolutely ridiculous.
It's disrespectful.
You're not, don't say it. It really is.
Yeah.
And that's what they say. I heard a joke about that one time where it's like, you say it with the ER and you end up in the ER. And I was like, you know what?
That's funny as shit. You say it with the GA and you're still still
gonna use it. Exactly. Like, it's offensive. Don't say it. You should respect that. And I don't know care if you have some black friend who let it slide. Let me just tell you, the vast majority not rocking.
Yes, at all.
Don't do it
at all. But you know what else I found in the show that was very interesting was this fake Asian camaraderie that I hate. Asians don't really fuck with us like that. Stop portraying it as that we're all this one big minority. Newsflash, black people are the global majority. So we don't have this whole Asian camaraderie. They come over here wanting to link up with the white people and the white supremacists, and they take on those ideals thinking that it'll help them survive in this land of racism. Exactly. So we're not falling for that shit. That whole Asian, they don't portray us enough too. Like, fuck out of here. It's for two different reasons.
Right, exactly. Like, not in this show. It's not. This wasn't your platform. Sorry.
You know what I'm saying? Because I'm saying, like, the Asian character was like, we are basically deal with the same stuff y'all deal with. No, the fuck you don't.
No, ma'am. You do not.
It'd be cool from a distance, but there's not really an Asian camaraderie, right, in America when it comes to black people. This whole, oh, we're all in this together, you know, we're all, you know, Hispanic and Asian and all that. They don't really fuck with us like that.
We're kind of not all in together.
We're not. And it's okay. I was just talking to my boyfriend about that earlier. Like, I feel like segregation is natural. I think segregation is human nature. The reason that you segregate for what you do to segregate, to segregate, right. It makes it right or wrong. But I think that clinging to where you're from,
that familiarity is really what you're looking for, because you tend to gravitate more towards people who you feel like are relatable to you.
Yeah,
to be honest,
that's natural.
It's just like in the show, for example, when they stayed in the AP dorm, and they were talking about shutting it down in this self-segregation situation where it's like, it just seems like, oh, well, this is like the black dorm and all the black people are here. We want to break this down because, I didn't understand true diversity of other cultures until I was around and forced to mingle with them and whatever. But I'm like, naturally, this is not even just a college thing. Right. Demographically,
absolutely,
all over the country, this is what it is. It's not nearly as integrated as you would like to assume that it is.
Right.
And that's why you deal with situations in terms like black on black crime. And the reality is that these crimes are about proximity. Like they say, murder. Like, white people are way more likely to murder another white person than they are to murder a person of color, because they tend to live in communities with white people. We tend to live in communities with black people. Yes. You will have some exceptions to that rule, but the general consensus is people tend to, it's still segregated. It's not necessarily intentional, but it's just how it is.
It is. And let's be clear, white people kill each other at the same rates as we do.
Exactly.
Let's be clear on that.
They just don't coin phrases like white on white crime.
Because they have to demonize us in the
Hispanic on Hispanic crime. Like, you don't hear any of these other races having these issues, and it's the same situations where you're going to kill the people that are close to you. That's what's going to happen. Like, people in your vicinity were not really integrated. So 9 out of 10, if I killed someone, it's probably going to be someone black. Like,
absolutely.
That's just what it is.
But they have to demonize us in order to justify when they exterminate us.
Oh, absolutely.
So that is what it is. They took that from Hitler. Real original white supremacy. And when we were speaking of the time where the police came, when the police came to harass the party to harass the black guy, who of course they assumed was the initiator of the whole thing. Oh, the only one who stood up for him, and this was symbolic to me, the only one who stood up for him in that moment when the police was like, had the gun in his face, was the black woman, was Sam's friend.
Exactly.
None of the black men that were there.
Right.
But a black woman.
And realistically, you know what, it's funny because that's really funny to me, because I swear I've just seen like more than a handful of memes on social media that kind of geared towards that. Yeah. Where it's like, black women will be putting their life on the line, for their families, for their men, whatever. And then they show all of these, like, these protests that they've had after these killings, where it's like these black women are standing toe to toe with these police officers. Yes. They got their guns, or they're standing in their face and they're protesting and they're not backing down. Yes. And I think that kind of what it is that fear factor that's this ingrained in black men when it comes to police. And it's been there for so long, where it's just deep rooted in them, where it's like you don't have any wins against cops. Like, it's just like, you could be in the car with a black man and he could be doing nothing wrong. He could just get pulled over for whatever reason, and he's going to be so compliant. Whereas to it, let me be in my car and I'm not doing anything wrong, you pull me over, I'm gonna be combative as fuck. I'm sorry, but I am, because I'm like, what are you doing? Like, and it's like, your rights, but there's so many black men that are being murdered by police that they feel like, I'm just trying to come out of this alive. Yes. They're less likely to be combative. Black women, on the other hand, not having it.
Yeah.
And that's just our role as, as women, like, to be that, that support system and that strength. Absolutely.
We've definitely taken on that front line, but it shouldn't be just us. And I feel like the fact that it was only the black woman who came to like his aid during that time and said, hey, stop it, or he was just doing this, or he was just
automatically just went for the black guy, although he's tussling with a white kid who actually pushed him first. And they're tussling, and the fact that you came in there and you drew your weapon on him over an ID in front of a group of people because you didn't believe that he was a student there was insane to me. Like, it's super sick, but these types of things really happen.
They continue to publicly emasculate black men in front of everyone, just to show their dominance power and their dominance because they're white in a system of white supremacy. And it reminded me of a castration, just like in slavery.
Yep.
Like when they would take the black man, he was, an alpha male and actually stood up for himself, they would literally castrate him in front of the family or rape him in front of his family. That way he gets no respect from his women, his woman or his children, and so on and so on. And I think that scene was really symbolic to that and how it really happens.
The history of white folks having to break us down to build themselves up.
And have you noticed, it was a scene where the black Sam went to lunch or dinner or whatever with her boyfriend, with Gabe's friends, the white friends or whatever. And they kept saying, it stuck out to me that they kept saying that slavery was 200 years. They kept saying that. I don't know if you picked up on that. It was kind of weird. They just kept saying, 200 years of slavery, 200 years of slavery. And throughout the show, and I'm thinking, slavery was 400 years.
Right. And maybe that
was another 50 years.
Maybe that was the intent, just to show how disconnected they really were from the reality of the situation. But we're trying to,
200 years. This was only 2 generations of that, and that is so inaccurate. And I think that right there is detrimental to the audience that may not know those facts, because 200 years make it seem like, it's not that bad. It's only 200 years.
Right. It's
2 generations.
Right, when the reality, but I think that maybe that might have been intentional, just to show that disconnect, because it was definitely there. Gabe had it a lot. No matter how hard he tried to be down, it's he really just could not make that full connection. And it's just when they found out that she was dating him, everyone was kind of just and then for it to blow up in the middle of a meeting too, because he decided to sneak that picture of her in dress and then post it on Instagram, #hate when Bay leaves.
Yes.
Wow.
That was the man shit. That was the female shit. But it was very intentional. But at the same time, which was symbolic to me, that represented that interracial dating distracts you from the movement. If you're a part of the movement, that can distract you.
Yeah, because look how much complication it added to her situation, just having to deal with that and his emotions, and him not understanding that what she has to do, what she's doing activity wise on this campus, they're not going to accept this, they're not going to want to deal with this, so maybe this could be between us. And for him to just feel I feel what I feel, and I'm just going to put it out there, that was kind of that was ass backwards. But it just goes to, it's just him not getting it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, he's not getting it.
And I think that, and I've had several conversations with people, my close friends, some people just don't get it. What I would require from someone white to be in a circle of minds, or a circle of any black person. And one of the things that I think they should do is, if they want to be down, instead of just attending meetings and having an input here and there, they have to let us know who the white supremacists are. Let them know that your uncle in the sheriff's department on this part of town is a fucking racist.
Right.
To not go, to let us know to not go there, or whatever the case is. That's how you have to be, in order to really be down, you have to give up something that we can use.
Right, which ultimately is going to paint you as, kind of a traitor to your race. But it's the reality is, if you want to
be what's right, and then you want to do what's right.
Exactly. And it's just the disconnect with him, it resonated all throughout the show.
Yes.
Just with the fact that he even thought it was appropriate to call the police for that party. Right. Spat that didn't really go out of, it didn't really get out of hand, It was kind of just no, you can't say that. It was just really words. They weren't. Now the other guy, I think his name is Kurt, the other white guy who just came over there and was doing the most. He's the hype man, but it's the reality was, this was between Reggie and his friend. And his friend was kind of just trying to paint the image look, I'm not racist, and I'm telling you and I get it, because you said it and you're trying to defend the fact that you didn't say it maliciously. I understand that. He's trying to tell you, okay, I get that, but you really just shouldn't say it. And they're going back and forth or whatever. So for him to feel hey, I should call the police, that was kind of backwards, but it just goes to show that there's a huge disconnect. But that just kind of fed into his issues, his underlying issues with Reggie.
Yes.
And I think there was definitely a fear factor there, because he is a dominant black male.
Yes.
You're seeing it he can take my bitch from me.
Yes.
And you're feeling some type of way about that. And I think you're a little afraid of him. and you just felt like it could get out of hand. And whether he wanted to admit it or not, that's how he was seeing that. He's thinking it's gonna get out of hand on Reggie's part.
Yes,
that's probably why he called the police. Realistically.
That might be it too, but or like you said, the complete disconnect from you don't know how it is for a police interaction with the black man. You're just thinking that it's going to be like how it is with you, but it's not the case, because you can call the police and the police will make everything okay for you as a white man.
Right.
They'll make sure everything is squared away, but it's not the same for us. And the fact that he would call them when really, as a man, what he could have done was break it up.
Right.
If you really wanted to do something,
you know, exactly. But then it kind of goes back to that scene where he was talking to Reggie, and Reggie was kind of making his comments about, you know, him being white and dealing with Sam, and he was just like, "What, are you gonna hit me?" You know, and he was like, you know, surprisingly enough, I don't use my fists to handle altercations. And it kind of threw him off, though. It kind of threw Gabe off. Like, wow, you see this dominant, aggressive black male who doesn't want to use violence. He can actually articulate and use his words and be smart, and that's the kind of black male that they feel doesn't exist. Because they feel like we're brutes, and you know,
or that is the ultimate threat.
Absolutely, because and they don't want to acknowledge the existence of it, so they try to paint them as these thugs and these brute men and these violent, you know, criminals and stuff like that. Because you don't want to accept the fact that a black male mind is brilliant, and you don't want to accept it for what it is. So you make him out to be this monster because it makes you feel justified in having feared him and wanting him gone in the first place.
I mean, black heterosexual, black dominant men in period, whether you're gay or heterosexual, if you're a dominant alpha male, because you can be gay or straight with that, but for more so white supremacy, as a heterosexual dominant black male is more of a threat to the system, because a 10 black dominant alpha heterosexual men and 10 white men, the black men will win it, you know, outdo them in everything.
Exactly.
In everything. Physically, on a scholar level, whatever.
And that's why they try to minimize them. That's why they try to call them ignorant. That's why they try to say they're poor and then this and that.
Because lock them up.
They don't want to, you know, they don't really want to go toe to toe with that. So they have to try to eradicate that any way that they can.
Right. And they have to feed their complex of being genetically inferior to trying to lie and say that they're somewhat of a superior to anything.
Exactly. When no, you're not.
Genetically, if you like science so much, you would know that
you're not.
I'm just saying, but whatever.
Putting it simply, you're not.
Yeah. Well, the fact that they broke up, though, just to close out, the fact that they broke up at the end of the show because. I mean, at the end of the season, because the differences, they just couldn't relate. You know, she was still trying to be low-key with Reggie, and he was just doing him. The disconnect was too strong that the relationship didn't work. And a lot of the disconnect was because of their race. And that just further proved our point of the episode we did about being pro-black. Wow, dating interracially doesn't work. It just kind of proved the point. So for all the people that kept asking us to watch the show, you know, and see,
definitely validated.
I'm thinking that there was going to be some bullshit like
I thought it was really going to try to change my perspective, but it validated every point that we made. It really just doesn't work, because you got to think about, she was a leader. She was a leader. She was at the forefront of all these pro-black movements on this campus to kind of, you know, like get their, you know, get the racism out of there. And it's like, look at what happened to her, you know, for lack of a better term, her flock, basically. All the people that followed her when they found out she was dating a white man, on the top, they lost respect for her. They looked at her different. She was looking funny in the light. They kind of stepped back like, wow, like really? And it's like, granted, as it pursued, you know, they kind of, you know, were able to just coexist with it, but it wasn't the same. You didn't get the same intensity from them that you got from the very beginning before they found out. So it's like, and then it's like, I mean, typically any relationship you gotta start out hiding like that probably isn't gonna work, like realistically. But yeah, it definitely weakened her stance with them, because they were all looking at her like, you should, like the expressions that they had when they were all seeing that picture. One got tagged in that picture and they was all looking at their phones like, this bitch. Like,
right, exactly. I believe that 80% of white people are white supremacists.
To some degree. To be honest, to some degree, it may be levels to it, you know, as far as the intensity, but to some degree, and I mean, hey, just understand that the same way you ride for yours is the same way we're gonna ride for ours.
Hey, I look at the numbers. 80% of white voters voted for Trump. 8 out of 10 people I see that are white, I'm gonna suspect that they are white. I'm not gonna just write you off. I'm gonna suspect that you are. But until you prove me
the
wrong.
window opens to prove me wrong.
That's just what it is. And as a victim of white supremacy, we have the right to do that.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Thank you so much for tuning in, y'all. And let us know what you think. Like, comment, and subscribe. Follow us on IG or Twitter. I gotta get my Twitter followers up. Like, what the fuck? I don't get on Twitter as much.
Follow me, you know.
Yes, follow Yada because she represents on Twitter for us.
Absolutely.
I just can't.
All day.
All right, y'all.
All right.
See you next week.